In honor of former Browns right tackle Ryan Tucker, welcome into the 72nd edition of Cleveland Sports Realm. I am Kevin. Alongside me is my co-host and very much a regular on this program, as I believe this is your 70th out of 72nd episode. I think you've only missed two.
I've missed three.
Okay, then your 69th appearance then on the CSR.
Yeah.
My co-host Jerome, as always. Quick housekeeping off the rip. We are recording Tuesday, just due to some scheduling conflicts. So, unfortunately, we will not have the result of the WBC championship game, which, as we record, it will be the first pitch is scheduled to happen in about an hour or so. We're recording just after 7 o'clock. On Tuesday, St. Paddy's Day. So I hope everybody who is listening had a phenomenal St. Paddy's Day. I know I was downtown, but I was working. I was not involved in the parade shenanigans. What did you end up doing for St. Paddy's Day, Jerome?
Well, I went to the bar, Burr.
Nice.
Yeah, I went and got a haircut. You know,
Nice.
My barber is tough to get into, and he does a great job, to be honest with you. And he's tough to get into, Steve. So, I figured everybody be out causing
a lot of chicanery.
Well, that's not the proper term of the word.
That's what you were gonna say.
Use of the word, but a lot of shenanigans rather. And I said, you know what, be a good day to get into Steve. So I did. I worked. We're getting older now. We had our days where we went, and I remember being down there, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm at Flannery's. I step outside, some girls vomit. And I did all that. Kevin, you and I went plenty of times together down there, and it's a lot of fun. But first of all, the weather was horse shit today. So who wanted to go down there and freeze? And then second of all, as I get older, I'll be honest, it always comes right around March Madness. And I'm such a big fan of the tournament. I'd much rather take PTO to watch the tournament than I would to party on St. Patrick's Day. And, I went out a little bit on Saturday. I dabbled a little bit, so that was about all I needed. But enough about drinking and partying and haircuts and everything else. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good. Looking back on the old St. Paddy's Day chicanery that you and I used to get into.
Stop using the word incorrectly.
Well, first off,
we're not bribing any judges here.
You were the one that first started saying it, so I'm just rolling with it now. That used to be a staple of mine was saying that instead of shenanigans. But dude, we used to go down. I believe it was junior year of college, so it would have been 2018. We had an absolute blast downtown, and then 2019 I remember was kind of whatever, and then I really haven't been downtown partying for St. Paddy's Day since. I remember
a couple of years ago, you and I went to. We did not go downtown, but we stayed in. I'm not going to name the establishment, but many folks may know.
It was around Ohio City, wasn't it? Yeah,
2020. Good Irish bar over there.
That was 2021, if I remember, because I think we were just coming out of COVID, really. I mean, not coming out of it because it was about a year after COVID had actually hit.
And then I think
we had a good time.
2022, I think I did some stuff. 2023, I had a big spill in Columbus, which I think you and producer Derek, who of course we have to acknowledge.
Was that St. Paddy's Day?
That was a day before, I believe. It was a Monday that year, and we were down partying in Columbus.
But it was St. Paddy's Day weekend.
Yeah.
I remember. I didn't realize that was St. Paddy's Day weekend. So,
again, we've done enough shenanigans over the years. Anywho, let's get into the sports. And for those of you who did party today, again, like Kevin said, we hope you drank plenty of green beer and had a good time. And
we hope the Guinnesses were flowing.
Exactly. And I, you know what? Maybe next year we'll get back after it, but this year we took a year of maturity.
We took a hiatus
and went to work. That's
right.
All right, so we don't have much football to talk about, which is kind of a rarity on this show, and that's okay because there's a lot of other stuff going on that's going to fill a whole hour's worth of our time slot here.
Yeah.
More than football, and just a couple quick news and notes. We knew this one's coming. Not knew that he was going to land, but we knew Wyatt Teller was no longer going to be a Brown. According to Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, it's a 2-year, $16 million deal, incentive based up to $23 million. Honestly, this is about what I would have pictured Wyatt Teller getting. This does not surprise me. It's right in the market, and you know what? I still think Wyatt's got a little football left. I don't know if I would have given him that big of a deal, but it also free agency, you always overpay people, so it does not surprise me, Kevin, that this is what they gave him.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the signing itself either, just because of where the Texans were this past year and having to address their offensive line, and obviously losing Titus Howard, obviously, to the Cleveland Browns now. Obviously, Wyatt Teller's a different position, but you still want to replace part of that offensive line, and Titus Howard being on the right side, Wyatt Teller on the right side of the offensive line has been at least since 2019-ish. I don't know if he had any left guard experience with the Bills or not before we had traded for him.
No.
But yeah, primarily a right guard, has been a right guard, and I expect him to be a very, very solid addition. You know, whether it's on the field or off the field in that locker room, I expect Wyatt Teller to make a significant impact for that Houston Texans football team.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. Another former Browns offensive lineman, J.C. Treader, he was reelected as the NFL union president, which does surprise me because he's been out of the league for a while, but I just quite frankly think Treader's done a really, really good job. And if the guy's still willing to do it now, what's interesting to me is he had said a few years ago that was going to be his last term. He didn't want to be reelected as the head of the Players Association, but maybe he thought over time, and he's enjoying his time with his kids and his wife now. And, you know, if you're not playing, when you're playing and you're the union president, it's a lot of work, but it's still a lot of work, but not as much if you don't have to be reporting to the facility 5, 6, 7 days a week. So good for him. He'll collect a nice paycheck from it, and he does a nice job representing the players. So nothing else really to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, J.C. Treader, ever since we've really had him, I believe has had a very strong foundational support from the NFL players because of how much he looks out for the players' best interests. Like I remember even, obviously
he does a good job as his job.
Yeah, no, 100%. But like I remember him being a huge proponent when, obviously we just mentioned it about 5 minutes ago with COVID when we were talking about us being down in Ohio City. But, when the players were coming back into the facilities, J.C. Treader was very adamant about, the safety protocols and things like that, and, had the players back in that instance too. So he seems like a guy who's, will meet in the middle here and there, but he seems to be a phenomenal advocate for the players, obviously him being one himself at one point. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by it, but also not really, just because of how much support he's had from the players over the years.
Right, and they probably looked around and nobody else wanted to do it, and you have a guy, and the biggest thing was making sure he was still committed to the association, which if you accept re-election and reappointment, then I assume you're committed. And then on the field, Miami is this new John Eric Sullivan, their general manager from the Packers, and new head coach Jeff Hafley, who was a former Browns defensive assistant and a Buckeyes defensive coordinator. Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan are really flipping this Dolphins roster. They're getting rid of any remnant around in that facility that has fingerprints of Mike McDaniel or Chris Greer, the old GM, on it. And they the final move today, I assume, would be that they shipped out Jalen Waddle and they acquired they got a first-round pick, which is pick 30 in this upcoming draft, a 3 and a 4 in this draft, and then Miami also sent a 4th this year as well. So they had like a pick swap in the 4th round. Okay, so I think this is a good move for Denver. It gives them a bona fide number 2 receiver next to Cortland Sutton. And obviously Denver has some other guys who are pretty good, whether it's Marvin Mims or whatever. The other guy's name's escaping me right now. But no, this is a good move for you
thinking of Troy Franklin?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, that might be it. This is absolutely a good move for the Broncos. Now, as far as the Dolphins are concerned, I think Waddle might have wanted out. I don't know for sure. I believe I heard that. But if he didn't, why wouldn't you want to keep Waddle? Because you got to have somebody for your new $68 million quarterback to throw the ball to. And I don't know that they do now. I mean, Tyreek Hill's not there anymore. Jalen Waddle's not there. I guess it's going to be a whole hell of a lot of Durham Smith or whatever. Durham Smythe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a very interesting move from Miami. I do love this deal, much like you do, for the Broncos. I still am very high on Jalen Waddle. I know he's now been in the league, I want to say, for 5 seasons now. So it's at some point he does have to kick this into gear and have one of those ridiculous seasons. Because, I mean, he was, the 6th or 7th overall pick in 2021. hasn't necessarily lived up to that hype, but also, the Dolphins went out and traded for Tyreek Hill, so he was a number 2 receiver for the majority of his time in Miami. So I'm interested to see how Jalen Waddle is going to look in Denver. I'm still very high on him. Still a very fast player, very quick, good hands, runs good routes. I'm interested to see how that's going to work with Bo Nix and to see if they use him more so as a downfield threat. It seemed like he was used more so in the intermediate to short passing game in Miami, whereas Tyreek Hill was really that game breaker. And when you look at Denver, you got Cortland Sutton, who's usually that intermediate guy, or he's the jump ball guy. And now you got that speedster and Jalen Waddle on the other side. And Bo Nix, who's got an absolute cannon. Hopefully, obviously, I would hope that he's back, for week 1 with that fracture in his ankle. But I'm very excited for how Jalen Waddle's career could potentially turn around with this type of move.
And I think Waddle might have won it out because he knew he was probably one of the last guard of the old McDaniel Greer regime, and maybe he wanted out and they wanted him out. But again, what's Miami's plan here? Because you bring him in Malik Willis, who hasn't had more than a cup of coffee in the league, as they say, and now who the hell are you throwing the ball to? Like I know that, I'm trying to think of the guy who had a decent year down there last year. I know, the tight ends, the running backs, like A-Chain's really talented, but like I would want to keep Waddle. But again, if they were hell-bent, sometimes these guys get such big egos that if they didn't draft a guy or sign him, they don't want anything to do with him simply for the fact that he wasn't their guy.
Well, Mike McDaniel didn't draft Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, but Chris Greer was there, and he was the general manager there for a long, long time. In fact, I think he was 10 years as the GM there.
Okay. What did you actually think of the return for Jalen Waddle? A late first-round pick, and then basically, we'll just say a third-round pick because of that swap in the fourth. We'll just say pick 30 and a third-round pick. Like, do you think that's appropriate value for Jalen Waddle?
Yeah, I do. I don't think it. I think that Miami, from a pick point of view, did a good job. Now, we'll see if this new general manager could put those picks into good use, because Chris Greer always had a lot of draft picks down there and always spent big money in free agency, but it never amounted to much wins for the Fish.
Right. Yeah, I think I saw a lot of people, like NFL experts and analysts,
I should say,
saying that it was a lot to give up for Jalen Waddle, and I don't agree with that. Like, I think Jalen Waddle's potential is still pretty high based off of just how he was used in Miami and him going to a better situation with a better quarterback, a better coach. I'm really excited to see what he does. Now, assuming that the value would be similar to, like, let's say pick 24. Like, let's say if that pick 30 and that third round pick were used to trade up to pick 24. I'm just putting this in speculation of just value. Would you have given up just pick 24 itself for Jalen Waddle, knowing that the Browns have a receiver issue?
Yeah, I would have.
I think I would have too.
And the thing is, I think Jalen Waddle's played pretty well over his course of, over his tenure there. I think, like you said, he kind of took a back seat to Tyreek Hill, and maybe that's why he wanted out. But I don't know, I don't really buy that theory though, because I think he would have been the clear-cut number 1 this year. But maybe, again, I just mention it, and I'll say it one more time. When these guys get such big egos and they don't draft you and they don't sign you and they don't develop, sometimes they just don't want a part of you because you weren't their guy, these general managers and head coaches. And that might have very well been the case here with John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley.
Yeah, potentially. And I think you are onto something there, just because I really don't see what this really does for Miami outside of just basically clearing up some cap space and, moving on from, a receiver who's basically going into the middle of his prime.
Well, it could have been about clearing cap space. Remember, they're playing Tua Tagovailoa
they're paying him a ton.
Tua Tagovailoa $50 million
to not play for them.
To toss the ball around with Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, and they're exactly, and they're also now paying another quarterback $20+ million a year.
Yeah, who's had nothing more than a cup of coffee from the convenience store in the league, and now we're gonna, All right. Well, the Dolphins are not quite like where the Jets and the Browns are as far as cluelessness and ineptitude, but man, they're up there. If you look at the last quarter century, they're pretty far up there.
The Dolphins, you said?
Oh yeah, they're not quite in our category of cluelessness and ineptitude. That the Browns and Jets have their own special place in hell for that. But the Dolphins they're knocking on hell's door. They're getting down there with us. I mean, they really haven't done anything in a long, long time.
No, in that first year with Mike McDaniel, you really thought that they were onto something. You really did, because that was that same team. Oh no, wait! It's actually funny that this trade happened, because was it last year or 2 years prior that the Broncos had put up like 70 on the Dolphins? You remember that?
Oh yeah, that was I think 2 years.
I think that was 2 years ago. That's funny.
Well, and the other thing with this is, like I said with the Dolphins, they're kind of like constantly always signing high-priced free agents that like very rarely ever work out. Like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I know I keep repeating myself. They're not Jets and Browns, but they're pretty high in the pecking order on the ineptitude ladder.
Yeah, they've had some misfires. They absolutely have had some misfires. I mean, they traded, even that trade for Jalen Ramsey didn't work out for them, and then they had to swap Jalen Ramsey to bring Minkah Fitzpatrick back, and
now they got rid of him too.
Yeah, no, I don't know that. Yeah, it's weird.
This guy seems hell-bent on anybody that wasn't his guy, this John Eric Sullivan. And then he's bringing in his own guys, because we already talked. Go back to last week's episode. But they gave Malik Willis the moon, the stars, and the earth. And I just don't think it's going to pan out nicely.
I don't think so either.
So. All right. Well, we're going to move on.
Oh, by the way, actually, real quick, just speaking of, because of how similar that contract was to Justin Fields last year. Remember Justin, like 2 years 40. I think Malik's like 3 years 60. Justin Fields got traded.
Yeah, to the Kansas City
Chiefs backup. I want to say for a 6th or a 7th round pick.
It was a conditional 6. That happened yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, happened Monday. So I think that's a very interesting trade. I actually like that trade a lot for the Chiefs. I'm assuming that the Jets are probably going to be paying most of that contract still, because I don't know why the Chiefs would end up taking that contract on.
I love Justin Fields and tried to argue with people that he was a good starter in this league for a long, long time. But Justin Fields got kind of screwed from the beginning with like the Bears and bad coaching, and how they played Andy Dalton and they used him as like some sort of Tim Tebow package. And I think things just always went south for him. And then, like, dude, the guy ultimately went to the Steelers and then got off to this great start and was forced to sit his ass behind Russ, who didn't do anything, and ended up losing 5 in a row. And Justin Fields had to watch the Steelers collapse from the sideline. And then he went to the Jets. The Jets, which we just talked about, are like, they're like the Browns. Who the hell are they fixing at quarterback?
Which before this past year, just kind of what you were just alluding to, the Bears were right there with the Jets and Browns in terms of ineptitude.
They were up there too. So like, maybe Justin Fields, again, I don't know how many more chances he's going to get, because I feel like it's been on quite a few years, unfortunately. But maybe there's a world in which he plays for Pat Mahomes, because Mahomes will be, I don't know if he'll be ready with his ACL. I guess they say he will be, but we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe there's a world in which Justin Fields like does what he did 2 years ago with the Steelers, Kevin, where he gets some starts, builds himself a nice market, and then can, from there get some sort of bridge quarterback deal like he did with the Jets. I just don't know if he's going to get that chance again, judging that he just got it this year and he totally bombed it. Like if he was doing a comedy skit, like they were throwing eggs at him on the stage. I mean, he was
bombed.
horrendous.
He bombed, yeah.
Like he built himself nice value last year. I just wonder, for him, what sucks is they put Russ in there, and then Russ literally tore down everything he built, for the Steelers that year.
Yeah, I honestly thought Russ played well. But I think what it came down to, and we may have talked about this last year as that was happening, was didn't Mike Tomlin basically guarantee that when you're healthy, you're going to be the starting job to Russell Wilson?
Mike Tomlin messed that up. There's a shocker. Mike Tomlin messed that up.
Come on.
But anyway, and then Russ, simply blew the lead in the division and lost 6 in the games in a row, got his ass kicked by the Ravens in the playoffs, and
I think they were going to get their ass kicked by the Ravens regardless that year.
And so on and so forth. And now Justin Fields is trying to climb that cycle again. I just don't know. Even let's say Justin Fields plays for Mahomes. Let's say he does really well. I just don't know at this point who's going to give him that bridge deal. I mean, maybe somebody will. Like, look, they're giving Kyler Murray another chance. I don't understand that. Like, there's plenty of quarterbacks who always get another chance, and like maybe teams will be more willing to do it after seeing who just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then the Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones. Like, we've seen them turn themselves around. That's why I'm kind of relatively excited to see Kyler Murray in Minnesota, just to see maybe, I mean, if he has a special connection with Justin Jefferson, like who knows how that could work, especially with just how dynamic of a quarterback Kyler is when he gets out of the pocket.
With them signing Kyler Murray, are they officially like declaring JJ a bust? Because I declared that long before he was drafted. I want to know if Minnesota's getting as smart as me and you.
The thing with JJ McCarthy that always bothered me is that everybody said, like when he came out, it was, you give this guy a good defense, he might win some game. No shit. You give any rookie quarterback. I mean, look at what Joe Flacco did coming off the freaking couch with a good defense.
Yeah.
So you give anybody a good defense at quarterback, and of course they have a shot to win some games. Like, tell me what J.J. McCarthy did at Michigan that ever, like, outside of winning a national championship, which I realize is fantastic, but that Michigan defense was unbelievable. I think that was the defense with Will Johnson, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant was on that team. I think there might have been a safety or two in there as well that were really, really good. Like, that Michigan defense was unbelievable, which I think that's where the narrative came from. Hey, give J.J. McCarthy a good defense. But yeah, I am interested to see Kyler, to see if he can turn his career back around in Minnesota, because like you just said, Jerome, like we've seen the quarterbacks who have started hot. Baker's, I think, the perfect example, starting hot early in the career and really getting brought back down to earth, having a couple teams give up on you. That's where, when it comes to Justin Fields, I get worried for Justin Fields, because how many times can you have a team give up on you and you not lose confidence?
Yeah.
I know for me, if you were to take me, top 10, 12 in the draft and give up on me after 2 years, I end up winning a few games for the other team that you send me to, and then even though I'm playing well, I get benched, and then you don't even want to take me on for a second year to see maybe you did catch lightning in a bottle, and then I go to a bottom 2 organization in all of football, and now one of the best organizations in all of football trades for you, but it's a 6th or 7th round pick to be a backup to a top 3, arguably the best quarterback in football right now. Like, how many times can you be, okay, you're going to be a backup, you're going to be traded for a late round pick, we're not going to believe in you, we're going to send you to a new team? Like, how many times can that happen?
The only thing that'll be good for him is Andy Reid can fix a lot of people, and it has fixed a lot of people, and probably will have to continue to fix a lot of people if the Chiefs are going to be back to being good, because they were not good last year.
Yeah.
The Kyler Murray one's interesting to me, because McCarthy's rookie year, he didn't play at all. Then his sophomore year, he came out and he kind of stunk. And I always thought he was going to stink. I declared long before the Vikings ever put the card in that he was going to stink and be a bust in the NFL. And I don't think that's going to change, but we'll see how that happens. But all right, Kevin, we got a lot of other stuff to talk about besides football. So we have some baseball, we have some college basketball, and we have some professional basketball. So I'll let you decide where you'd like to take this thing tonight.
Why don't we go basketball? Let's talk a little bit of Cavs, and then we can just go basically straight baseball with Guardians, WBC, or obviously we got to talk about the bracket as well.
That's what I said. We got college.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm trying to think. You want to? Let's go in alphabetical order. Let's go baseball first.
Okay.
Baseball, and then we'll end with March Madness and the Cavs.
So real quick, couple Guardians news and notes. The Guardian, this is coming from Tim Stebbins, their beat reporter from MLB.com, who he's a great follow. Tim_Stebbins, if you want to get all your Guardians. Him and Zach Meisel are the best, in my opinion. The Guardians granted Pedro Avila's release after he was informed he would not make the opening day roster. No big surprise to me here. They have a lot of bullpen arms. They took that Rule 5 kid from the White Sox, Peyton Pallette. Now, I know Pedro Avila 2 years ago was a great mop-up guy for the Guardians in the bullpen. Last year he went to Japan, but I don't know. He didn't have a great spring, and if he thinks he can get money somewhere else, I don't think he is going to get a spot somewhere else, maybe on a really bad team, but there probably just really wasn't a spot for him here. So no, to me, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, that's kind of no harm, no left of the third baseline to me.
Yeah.
It's Pedro Avila had a great Great run. No, he did for us 2 years ago, and he was one of those guys that we just kind of like took a flyer on, and then I think there was something in that clubhouse, like in that bullpen, I should say, like just the culture in that bullpen that players just fed off of. It didn't matter who.
Which is amazing because the guy who was leading the bullpen was about
was betting against his own team.
Was tainted.
Was betting against his own team. So
but you're right. That 2024 bullpen was special.
It was unbelievable, man. It was awesome, and it didn't matter who you threw into that bullpen. It seemed like whoever came out, sixth inning and passed was putting up a 1.5 to 2 ERA. That's what it felt like, at least. Whenever they sent anybody in, it seemed like we were just going to mow down whoever was coming in. So, yeah, I'm grateful for what Pedro Avila did for that team, and obviously he was part of that team that had that magical run in the postseason to the ALCS. So, unfortunate that he's not going to be here, but, business is business, and it's Pedro Avila. So,
yeah, right. It's no harm, no foul. Yeah. Now, completely contrary. Jose Ramirez slides in head first in a spring training game and his shoulder's banged up. Now, they claim they're not going to do imaging. They claim it's just tender and it's day-to-day. To me, I'm sorry, and he got pinch hit for. I know that maybe I'm freaking out, but anytime I see any Jose, like if he's actually going to be out, which I know he's not, but hypothetically, if he was going to be out for an extended period of time, don't even have the truck leave Goodyear. Pack it up. Let's see you in 2028. There's no point of starting this thing. If he can't be here and he can't be healthy, you might as well not even don't even roll the ball out to the mound.
Listen, I agree. Okay, I agree. Jose Ramirez is the heart and soul of not just the team, the organization,
the city.
And that's exactly where I was going with it. And quite frankly, the city, honestly. If he's not healthy, if he's not out there, if he's not batting third and playing third, there's no hope for this team right now. There's not. I mean, who are your first three you're looking at then? You're looking at Steven Kwan. Maybe it's Kyle Manzardo, and then you might even have to put Rhys Hoskins. You might have to move him up from 4 to 3.
You're going to have to move Rhys Hoskins to 3 probably. And
then, Nolan Jones maybe at cleanup.
So, okay, now you just took it. You tried to sneak that in there, and I know what you were trying to do. And I don't think Nolan Jones should make the team, quite frankly. I know you're having your own little.
I know I am. I know
you're having your own.
I did try to squeeze it in there, and you almost went with it for a second, and then I could tell that you like double taped it in your head.
No, and we'll get to him in a second because about people who won't or won't make this team. But no, honestly, if I don't care, like if Jose thinks he's ready and. The problem with him is he's such a tough competitor that he's I know him. He's gonna want to play more spring training games, but they need to have like Chris, Mike, voters sit down with him and be like, "Look, this train is not leaving the station if you're not like conducting it," and they got to tell him like he may want to try to get a couple more spring training games in here in the last week because we start this thing for real 9 days from now, which is crazy.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited. We start this thing for real, but again, if he's not on the train, like there's no point of the train leaving the station. So like,
no point to take off.
You just, to me, you proceed with total caution, and if you make sure until that shoulder feels good, and then to me, I don't really want to see him in uniform until
next Thursday,
March 28th.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on it. Seriously, like let's not play games here. And I do think it is. I do think it is a straight up just precautionary approach from the Tribe. Like I really don't think that they're too worried about the injury. I do think it's just like, hey, why are we going to send out a top 5 position player in baseball in spring training if he has a minor tweak in his shoulder and he'll be fully healthy by the end of next week?
Right.
Why would you do it? So,
right. Yeah. No need. On the other hand. One other Guardians note, Travis Bazzana was informed by the club he's not going to make the opening day roster.
Now, expected, but still disappointing.
Exactly. But if you've followed this team for any amount of time and you haven't had that personal come to Jesus moment that they're prospect hoarders and they're service time manipulators, then you don't know anything about this organization.
Yeah.
You haven't watched enough. If anybody thought that Travis Bazzana was going to be on this roster before June, before they can get an extra year of service time, then you're mistaken. And I literally was listening to WTAM 1100 today, and some guy called in and he goes, well, what if Bazzana, what if he really lights it up for the Clippers the first 2 weeks of the season? And the host, being that's the Guardians' official affiliate station, goes, well, I think they might bring him up. I started laughing in the car while I was driving down.
In July, they might.
I started laughing in the car while I was driving down 480. I could assure you, I think the absolute earliest, and maybe I'm wrong, that we'd see Travis Bazzana, if everything went perfectly, would be like Memorial Day weekend. And I still don't know if that's going to happen. I'm thinking more than likely you're probably looking at the 4th of July, like you just said, July, maybe June. I also think it depends. Like, the other thing is, let's see. I mean, I know he had a pretty good WBC for Australia. I know he's had a good spring. But let's actually, in defense of the Guardians, I mean, if people are going to be wanting to see him no matter what, I feel like, because we're all, except for friend of the show, is the only person, like everybody had just had their fill and is up to here with Gabriel Arias, except Josh, friend of the show, Josh.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the only guy on his own. Him and Gabriel Arias are on some island in the lake in the middle of nowhere together. But no, seriously, I think that's the reason why. So, like, people are going to be shoving the Bazzana. But, like, I actually do want to say this and proceed with caution here. I'm going to defend the organization for a second. I actually have no problem with this, and I wouldn't mind him getting some more AAA swings, because the quiet part people don't want to say out loud is he didn't hit the ball all that well when he was with the Clippers last year.
He did not. I was actually going to bring that up, but I will say.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Dropped my phone, made a big noise.
That's okay. Not as big as that meteor that hit earlier today.
How about that?
I was I heard that in the office. I was like, whoa! I actually thought somebody like a desk fell over or something in the office.
I'll tell
I was
you
like, what's going on here? And then I found out.
I was salting. I was doing my round salting parking lot. I thought I ran into something.
Yeah. No, seriously, and I don't blame you. But going back to Travis Bazzana, I think it is one of those things. Let's say, like, if by Memorial Day weekend, like what you were just saying, which I do think that would be like the earliest possible time that we would see him. I think they would want a full 2 months of him being in AAA in order to make an assessment. But if he's hitting, give or take, 10 to 15 points at 300, and he's got even something as minuscule as like 5 bombs.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're looking at, hey, ideally by the end of this regular season, and I know we're going to touch on it a lot next week because that's going to be kind of our season preview episode, but the ideal situation is him batting second for you by the end of the year. That is your ideal situation, is Travis Bazzana is set it and forget it at second in the lineup, at second in the field.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, one thing that I think that I really do like, I know I made fun of one of our previous guests, Josh. Like, the one thing that I will say about Gabriel Arias that I think is the reason that keeps him here year in and year out, it has nothing to do with the plate. It's the bazooka that's attached to his right shoulder.
And also, he's one of like 3 right-handed batters on the entire team.
That's true, too. But I will say it was nice to see over the weekend Rhys Hoskins hit another home run. He's starting to really round into form, and I think enough so that, he got to be batting 4th or 5th. We'll see. I would surmise 5.
I do too, to split up the right-handers and the lefties.
Right. I would surmise 5 and Manzardo 4. I think that's it for Guardians news. Like Kevin said, stay tuned next week. We'll have a Guardians heavy episode.
Yeah.
And
we're hoping,
hopefully by the time we do record, we know who most of the 26-man roster is. We have a lot of these things figured out. Stuff's starting to slip out this week, and I'm sure they know at this point who's breaking camp and who's not, and the public the rest of us will all find out here as the time goes on. But I think we're hoping to have something special for you guys next week. Yeah.
I hope we do. I think we will. And it's always fun, man, when baseball is kicking off. We were actually at friend of the show, Nate's house, this past Sunday. We were there watching the WBC USA. Watched them pull out the dub against the DR. What a game that was, man.
What a game. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we were there with actually 2 friends of the show. It was Nate's Palace, and we were there with other friend of the show, Matthew Passerell, who was here when we broke the James Harden Darius Garland trade.
That's right.
So the 4 of us watched the WBC together, had a blast, and I just got, just watching the atmosphere of the WBC, I actually looked at you guys and I was like, man, I am so happy for baseball to kick back off, because that atmosphere, and I know we are 7 months away, basically, from October baseball, and until we get consistent atmospheres like that. But man, baseball season is so fun.
Oh, it's phenomenal. And I'll tell you what, there was folks who have been or in Miami for the WBC right now, and they'll tell you that the atmosphere is better than Super Bowls. Like longtime media sports professionals will tell you that atmosphere is better than the Super Bowl.
We got to cross that off the bucket list.
And I agree with you. And I think the reason the WBC is so cool is it's true fans. A lot of these big events, and I hate to sound this way, a lot of these big events, including the Super Bowl, have turned way too corporate. And the WBC, there ain't one corporate thing about that. Yeah. I mean, you got people parading around, honking horns, vuvuzelas, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's something else. Like, and to talk a little bit about that game, first of all, that to me could have been the championship game right there.
I think it was.
I mean, those. No, I don't.
By the way, did we benefit from 2 huge late calls from the home plate umpire?
Yeah, and did you see Juan Soto had his 2 cents about that?
Yeah, Juan Soto, whatever.
Yeah. Juan Soto Schmoto, the United States won. The DR did it.
That's right.
I'll tell you what. Let me give Paul Skeens a shitload of credit here for a second because, pardon my language, but I mean, for a guy who's never pitched in like that big of a game, that was the biggest game of his life. Paul Skeens went to the Air Force Academy before he went to LSU, so you know he's talked about it numerous times. These are his words, not mine. How big representing the country was for him. And boy, I just can't give the guy enough credit for someone who's never pitched. And you know, the Pirates, his first 2 years have stunk for to be quite blunt about it. Mm-hmm. So he's never pitched in something remotely that big. And boy, I mean, he pitched really freaking well. And and to be honest with you, I mentioned this, we were watching it live. If I was Mark DeRosa, I would have yanked him a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we talked about it during the game.
Yeah,
too.
He didn't. And then how about Bednar? This entire WBC has been putting himself, basically the guy keeps touching the stove and then pulling his hand away just in time, basically. Like that's what he keeps doing. He gets himself into a heap of trouble and somehow gets himself the hell out of it. But the United States was able to, and how about the youngster, Roman Anthony, with the game-deciding homer?
Yep, huge. I was also going to say, how about the youngster for the DR that should still be a member of the Cleveland Indians, and that's Junior Caminero being the only reason the DR was even represented on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that guy is something else.
He is, man. He's unbelievable.
He's really good.
22 years old, too, man.
And then that game just had everything, man. It had the big high pressure. It had both teams stranding runners with runners in scoring position. The Judge throwout of Fernando Tatis was incredible.
Yeah.
Then,
yes, it was.
Julio Rodriguez takes, which I actually,
oh my God,
I believe would have actually, unfortunately, hate to say it, would have been a double off the very top of the wall.
But we'll never know.
We'll never know.
I think you're right, though.
Rob's Aaron Judge of a for sure extra base hit. We'll put it that way.
Potentially a home run, but
and
yes.
then Bednar getting out of the trouble. It looks like the DR is coming back. I mean, that game had it all. And then the United States comes out on top, and they're in the championship game tonight. Now, who are they facing, you might ask? Well, that would be Venezuela. Not to be political in any way, shape, or form, I do think there's a little bit of humor that everybody could appreciate about what's going on politically between those two nations and the United States and Venezuela. So you know the passion's going to be out there tonight.
Sure. Yep.
How did Venezuela get there, you may ask? Well, the Italians had a lead, and what a run by Italy. I mean, who the hell knew Italy? I mean, they knew how to do anything besides kick around a soccer ball. They get in themselves in the semifinals of the, first of all, they beat the United States. And at the time, I think by Italy getting to the semifinals, it made that United States loss look less and less bad over time. And the United States should, though, if they win tonight, they should all send the Italians thank you cards, because if it wasn't for the Italians beating the Mexicans, then the United States doesn't even get to the knockout round.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So Italy last night ends up blowing the lead, and the Venezuelans come back, and now tonight it's all going to be settled tonight. Nolan McLean of the New York Mets on the mound against Eduardo Rodriguez of the Arizona Diamondbacks. How do you feel about the United States' chances tonight?
I actually like the United States' chances, believe it or not. I think they're going to be riding high off that DR win, honestly, just because of kind of all the criticism that the United States team was facing after the DeRosa comments, and then after losing that game, and then going into that DR game, everybody thinking that the DR, and especially what the DR was represented, what it had to have been 70-30 in those stands.
Oh, yeah,
The
we
DR
talked about that.
Yeah, the DR was significantly favorited in the stands. I would say the DR had the home field in that one, and the United States come in, and obviously they end up winning that game. I think they're going to be riding high. The momentum's there. And I did want to make a quick comment because we had talked about this over at Nate's on Sunday, and I want to give credit where credit's due because it was Nate's comment, but he's spot on it. How many times do we have the opportunity to cheer for like Aaron Judge?
Yeah.
Ever. Like, and it reminded me of going back to like the 2016 Olympics when we all hated Steph Curry and all that, but then in the Olympics you're cheering for Steph Curry.
Sure.
And like you're doing the 3-point signs and stuff like that, even though you have hated him for a couple of years now at that point. You know, Aaron Judge, somebody who we've criticized, and I've been a major critic of him just because of his playoff performances. He steps up into the dish, and I'm finding myself saying "all rise" and standing up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I think that's what makes these events so fun is that there's not going to be another circumstance where I'm going to cheer for Aaron Judge.
No,
ever, probably.
Unless he has that uniform he has on right now.
Exactly.
He's going to probably retire in the pinstripes, one would imagine. No, I agree with you. That's a great point, and it is like you put the nation before the stuff.
It's the name on the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey.
That's right. That's a good job. I agree with you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like the United States' chances tonight. Now, where I think the United States benefits is their semifinal game was Sunday. Venezuela, actually, a lot of their bullpen had to throw last night against Italy, and they had to come back. And, you know, I watched a little bit of that game. But again, the Venezuelan team's pretty loaded. I mean, there's a ton of talent on that team. Mm-hmm. One of our old foes, who we, as a Indians fans growing up, had to deal with a lot. Miguel Cabrera's their hitting coach. I mean, V-Mart's on their staff.
Mm-hmm. I did see that. Yeah.
Victor. So yeah. But anyway, good job by the Venezuelans last night because the Italians were up 2-0, and then it all got started with a Eugenio Suarez home run, and then Acuna got into the action. Like, if people think, and maybe I'm guilty of it too, if people think, wow, we got through the DR, we got through the hardest lineup, like this Venezuelan lineup is loaded.
Yeah,
too.
Venezuela's a very solid team. It's just that DR team was, I mean, you just like Tatis, Junior Caminero, all those. It's like, okay, we're gonna, these are the big boys.
So I like, I'll go with the homer pick too. I'm gonna take the United States to win tonight.
It's a score.
I'm gonna say the United States. I actually like them because I like Nolan McLean better than Eduardo Rodriguez. I'm gonna say United States 5-3.
I'm gonna say 4-2 U.S. So
Okay.
we each have the U.S. -1.5.
And by the time this thing comes out, everybody could be calling us idiots or
Yeah.
geniuses.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that is true.
all right. And then let's hit on a couple quick Cavs things before we get into the NCAA tournament. Cavs are struggling right now. Make no mistake about it.
Yeah, I think we're starting to really see the value that Jared Allen brings to this team when he has a presence like James Harden out there. I mean, James Harden, ever since he's gotten here, Jared Allen's essentially been a top 5 center in the league, the way that he's played.
Absolutely. And the Cavs do play the Bucks tonight. Now, they need to win that game. And I know it's crazy to say you need to win a game in like March 17th. But they do. I mean, they were favored by 17. They were laying 17.5 points on Sunday and lost by 10 at home to the lifeless Dallas Mavericks. Mm-hmm. The Jared Allen thing is key. I will say this. Like, I keep wanting to be positive on the Cavs and wanting to be positive on the Cavs and wanting to be positive on the Cavs. But, like, it's almost like every time I push and try to defend them against people from out of town or wherever, and people are like, you guys are frauds, then the Cavs make me look like a fool because they do something that pushes back against my word, and they act like frauds, and it gets really annoying sometimes. I keep pushing it back the other direction, and then when they do a couple of things, it's like easier to push it this way, but then people keep pushing back this way, and it's frustrating. But when you lose to a team that you're laying 17.5 points against in a professional basketball game at home and you lose by 10, how do you expect the national people to not call you frauds?
No, I agree with you. And I actually have a question for you on this because I was listening to the Ken Carman show with Anthony Lima, this morning. And they had pulled a previous clip from the previous day, so this would have happened Monday, from Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin. And I'll tell you what the debate was. I'm not going to tell you where anybody stood on it, but I just want to know where your head is at. The debate was, if the Cavs are second-round exits, is the James Harden trade still worth it?
Yeah, to me it is, because I don't like Darius Garland's long-term future in this league. He's a guy with bad ankles and bad feet, and he's too young to have the kind of injury problems he is, and he gets beat up too much, and he's undersized. And I think it was whether the Harden element of it works out or not, sooner or later, and I hate to say it, you have to realize that you were never going to go anywhere with Darius Garland. You had to move off of him at some point. So for those reasons, yes, I am going to say it's worth it. And so help me, Lord above, if they're another second round exit, I don't know. I mean, how many more times are you going to put up with that nonsense?
Yeah, no. That's the exact point I was going to make. Is I'm actually on the opposite end of that. So Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, and Jonathan Peterlin all agreed that if they were second round exits, the Harden trade was still worth it. Nick Wilson was basically on an island saying, "No, it's not." And I'm one that I'm usually against what Nick Wilson's opinion is. I agree with him wholeheartedly here. You made this trade to get past the second round. Like, I think if you make this trade, I mean, it clearly was an all-in trade, right? I mean, you're trading a guy 10 years younger, coming off an all-star season prior. You're trading, like, that's clearly an all-in move. If your season ends the same way it did the previous 3 seasons, I don't think it's worth it in the slightest.
Yeah, but at some point you had to realize you had to get off Garland.
Sure. No, I'm not saying that.
So that's what makes it worth it to me. You got off Garland and you got something.
But for what? You aged yourself 10 years, gave up a draft pick. I realize it's a very inexpensive draft pick. It's probably a late second rounder, which is the equivalent of like a 6th or 7th round pick in the NFL. It's basically nothing. But you got rid of a draft pick in this deal. You bring in a guy 10 years older, and you finish the same way that you had the previous years. I don't think the trade is worth it at that point.
Well, wait. What about this factor?
Yeah.
Did anybody consider whether James Harden's signing on the dotted line for next year and beyond? That's a big factor too.
Sure. Yeah, and honestly, like, Darius Garland's been playing pretty decent ball here for the Clippers as of late.
Yeah, I just still. The Darius
shooting 46% from the field, 46% from 3, averaging, let's see here. I'm sorry. No, I forgot. I'm a little bit lost here. Okay, averaging 20 points a game for the Clippers off of good efficiency, 6.5 assists, and about 2 boards. Like, Darius Garland's playing very well for the Clippers right now.
Sure. But remember what I said the episode that they made the James Harden trade. Everything the Cavs have to do, and from this point, and actually, their whole organization has to be focused around, everything has to be making Donovan Mitchell happy. And Donovan Mitchell was very good buddies with Darius Garland off the court. But Donovan Mitchell, you, me, hell, producer Derek, everybody who watched the Cavaliers knew they weren't going anywhere fast with those two together on the court. Donovan Mitchell... They don't trade Darius Garland without Donovan Mitchell signing his name on it.
I agree.
It lets it happen.
But how happy is Donovan Mitchell if you're a second-round exit again?
That's true, too. I didn't think of it. Well,
That's. I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying the Cavs are not getting past the second round. I'm just saying
right now it don't look like it, right?
Right? But rewind 2 weeks ago, we thought, hey, we might be representing the finals here. Like, we can't get too high or too low with the NBA and MLB. I've always been on that. Unless your team loses, like in the NBA, unless they lose 4 or 5 in a row. Same thing with the MLB, unless they lose like 10 to 12 in a row, which is exactly what happened with the Tribe last year. That's when you start to kind of panic a little bit. Like,
right.
Okay, where's this team going?
And even the Guardians of last year's scenario was, I mean, that's once in a lifetime. I mean, that's not going to happen this season. Nobody's erasing a 15 and a half. Like,
right. No, exactly. Exactly.
Right. So, like, to me, and I know I just said it again, I'm going to repeat myself. I've been doing that a lot tonight. Sorry, folks. But anyhow, they got to win tonight against Milwaukee. Like Milwaukee's not good.
Yeah.
Like, it's the national game.
It's in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah, it's the national game. It's on NBC. Like, the country's going to be watching because the country is salivating at the chance to call you frauds. You're on NBC tonight. That's a big deal. You know, there's many people who have their Twitter fingers ready. They're ready to say the Cavs aren't getting out of the like, go and beat the crap out of Milwaukee. So all those people who have those tweets ready are going to have to hit the backspace button on their keyboard.
Yeah, or just delete the draft.
Right.
They got to wait in the drafts ready to send.
Yeah. So that's that. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. It'll be interesting how it develops. I'm just saying, man, I think
that's a good question, though.
In 2 to 3 years,
give the fellows at 92.3 The Fan a credit. That is it's
a good question.
Yeah.
And obviously it's a split. I mean, it's based off of the sample size right now. It's 4-2, 4 in favor of the trade still being worth it in terms of the 6 people that we're sampling right now, the 4 from 92.3 and then the 2 of us. And I'm honestly, if you please comment what you think. Like, I would love to know what Cleveland's perception is of this. If they don't make it past the second round, if the trade's worth it. Like, obviously, we're only sampling 6 people here. I'd love to know what other people think about this.
I agree with you. Would you like to get into March Madness to wrap this up?
Let's do it.
All right. First of all, let's talk about the thing everybody talked about, Miami of Ohio. All right. They go 31-1. We talked about it, of course, last week. We give them major props. Or was that 2 weeks ago? On the podcast, I don't remember.
I thought it was last week.
We spent a couple different episodes where we gave them their flowers.
Yeah.
Either way, of course, classic. I guess you could say announcers jinx here because we start talking them up, and they proceed as the number 1 overall seed in the MAC tournament to get bounced by 8 UMass. Yeah. And then you have some people. I saw Tyler Hansbrough. Remember him, Kevin?
Oh, from UNC. I thought he was going to be a stud in the NBA.
He was a big one against it. He was the one who spoke out most. I saw a lot of people say that Miami of Ohio shouldn't have made it. Let me just say this.
Yeah, go off.
That is an absolute blasphemy. I understand they have no quad 1 wins. I am a big college basketball fan. I'm not oblivious to all the metrics they use, the net, the Ken Palm, quad 1, 2, 3, and 4 wins. I understand UMass was a quad 4 loss. However, put all your analytics aside, and for those of you, I'm going to get aggressive here. For those of you who think Miami of Ohio shouldn't have, because of some of those analytics, you can shove them right up your ass.
I agree.
Because here's the deal. They had 31 opportunities in the regular season. Your conference tournament is considered postseason play. They had 31 opportunities to win basketball games, and they achieved that in 31 of them. Yes, I understand they lost to UMass. Yes, I understand that they played a horrible schedule with some D2 teams. However, I don't quite frankly give a shit who's on the schedule. I don't care. We're out here in Elyria. I don't give a shit if they played Elyria Catholic 31 times. They won 31 opportunities. They deserve their spot. And I really don't want to hear anybody who tells me otherwise. Now, if you do, please present an argument. I'd love to see it. I'm not going to agree with it. I just like to see what people have to say.
By the way, I think you just presented their argument, and it's still invalid. Like, I think, the bad schedule. Like you said, that you go undefeated in the regular season, I think you've already locked up your spot. Genuinely, even if they were in the conference tourney, lose their first game, I think you've already cemented your seed, in my opinion. 64 teams. This is not. And I think we even hit on this last week. I think, but this isn't college football where you got to nail it down. Okay, really? Now we got to take into factor strength of schedule. Who'd you face? You're doing the whole balancing act. 64 teams, and they were the only one to go undefeated.
Yeah, and then
they're in.
Yeah,
like it should literally be that simple. 64 teams make it, and there's a 31-0 team that lost in the postseason, like you just said. they're in. I think it's that simple, and I do think it's BS that they have to play their way into this tournament.
I agree.
I think that should have been a lock, whether it's, and I realize the 11 seed is higher than a 15 or a 14, whatever. I would have rather them just got a 14, lock it in. There's no reason for them to be playing this play-in game. I realize that if they get in, it's an easier matchup because they'd face a 6 instead of a 3 or a 2, whatever. But
yeah, now I
mean, at least they get their opportunity, though. It's better than them being left out.
And I have to say, their head coach Travis Steele, obviously, with them being so relevant in the landscape, he's getting a ton of press. And I have to say, I give him a lot of credit because I don't think I'd be so gracious with the press when he's getting all these questions about. His answer consistently is, well, we're just happy to be here. And he has the right approach, though, because that's going to get your boys pumped. Now, they get to play SMU in the play-in game, and that'll be tomorrow night as we record this on Tuesday, as Kevin said. They clearly were one of the last 4 in because that's who plays those play-in games, and out of the 68-team field. Now, listen, the attitude they're taking is, hey, we get to play a home game against SMU, who's coming from Dallas. We're 50 minutes away because we get to play in Dayton. That's a great attitude to have. Now, Miami of Ohio, here's what I need from you. There's folks like me, there's folks like Kevin who have gone on social media platforms, have gone online, have gone on their platforms. We're on ours, obviously, on the CSR here, and have defended the shit out of you every step of the way. Now, you have one job. Go out there, and I don't necessarily want to say win, but whatever you do not get your ass kicked by SMU Mustangs tomorrow.
Can't.
You can't. Because we've all defended you to a point of almost stupidity.
To a point of oblivion.
Yes, we have. And the Tyler Hansbroughs of the world, who's part of the Field at 68 Network, they are just chomping at the bit to get in front of one of these puppies right here, a microphone, and tell you, this is why Miami, Ohio should have never been here. Look what SMU did to them. They are just waiting, guys. So use all that as motivation and go out there. Ideally, I'd like to see it be SMU. I have no affiliation with SMU. I don't care about the Mustangs. Screw them. Whatever. Go out there. We've all been defending you. Now you got to do your part, which is whatever you do, even if you lose, make it on like a 5-point game or less. You just cannot let SMU kick your ass.
I will say the thing that stinks about this is that if they lose, even if it is by 5 points, they did kind of prove us wrong.
Right. Yeah.
That is the thing that stinks. And I could very well, unfortunately, see SMU coming out with a win in that game. I really hope Miami of Ohio gets it done, though. I really do.
Go Redhawks. Now, if we're going to continue talking about the tournament in general, I did think, and there's been very few years I could say this, like, I could have probably done without Texas being one of the last 4 in. To me, they had too many losses. But I can understand the point of it. I think the committee, I think they screwed up a lot of seedings. Like, and you watched me watch a selection show live, and I was, at one point, Kevin's exact quote to me was, has there been a seed or a region you haven't bitched about yet?
Oh, my God. Every single team. Oh, that's way too high. Oh, I would have put them a little bit lower. I was like, dude. Literally. So that was probably the first 9 teams that they revealed. And I was like, dude, we got like 55 teams to go. And you've complained about the first 9.
So I will say, minus that, I do think they messed up a lot of seeding. Like, ultimately, I have my personal biases of some teams I would have liked to see in, but when I set those aside and look at this objectively, I think for the first time, and I'll give this committee credit, led by the Sun Belt chair, I think this committee nailed the 68 of 68. And I can't, like I said, the one I could probably leave aside was Texas. They had too many losses, but besides that, they got the 68 right. Now, your seeding process, as Kevin very well knows, I thought was extremely flawed. How does St. John's win the Big East tournament, beat the crap out of UConn, beat them 2 out of 3 times, counting the postseason, beat them in the Big East championship by 20, and you give them a 5, but UConn gets a 2? I don't get it. St. John's, to me, should have been a 3, most likely a 4 at most. How does Vanderbilt beat Florida in the SEC semifinals and then lose to Arkansas, and you put them on the 5 line, and Florida's on the 1 with 7 losses? like the seating was completely messed up. They did respect Akron, though. Akron got a 12, which MAC teams usually get 13s or 14s, so good for the Zips.
Yeah.
And I actually like the Zips to beat Texas Tech. I'll tell everybody that one. That's not me being an Ohio homer. Texas Tech's missing their best player, JT Toppin. If you're looking for a 12 over a 5, I like that one. I also do like High Point over Wisconsin. High Point can play. I think I like that one too. So I don't like any 16 over 1s this year. Not going to sit here and predict that. I don't even like any 15 over 2s.
If there's one 15 over 2, I might take Tennessee State.
No, led by Nolan Smith, former great Duke player. Yeah, I mean they got. Listen, it's kind of tough because I think in general in college basketball, the days of seeing a ton of upsets are probably over because what happens, anybody who plays good in a conference tournament, they don't even have to make the NCAA. You play good in your conference tournament, you get to your NIT, and if you were a half-decent player, the majors are taking you.
Right.
They're opening the checkbook, and that's it.
Did you see the Indiana Hoosiers had said that they're not going to participate in the what is it called?
NIT.
The NIT. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, neither is Seton Hall. And
what do you think about that?
I have no problem with teams not playing in the NIT.
No?
No.
You had a problem with the Irish not playing in a bowl game.
I did.
So what's the difference there, big guy? Just because your Seton Hall Pirates are sitting out of the NIT? You know what? I see their point.
Seton Hall, they did what they had to do. They
here we go. Okay. Seton Hall proved themselves enough so much that they didn't make it into a group. They didn't make the tournament of 68 teams.
No. Seton Hall. When I said that, I didn't mean this year. 2 years ago they went to the NIT. They showed up. They won the whole thing. They already have one of those NIT banners hanging. They don't need
nothing else to prove.
No, listen. When teams don't want to play in the NIT, the only reason I'm going to say I get it is because there's a 68 team thing, right? Like, so that's a lot of teams.
So many.
I just think like the NIT, it doesn't really do much for you. Like, you're not getting that much TV money. Like, I get it. And looking back on it, Kevin, I'm going to go ahead and say, if you don't want to do bowl games, I guess I'm starting to get that too.
If you're not playing for it all, why are you playing?
Yeah.
Although it is nice for, like we've talked about, the seniors or the fifth years that typically don't play throughout the season. Those are nice little games for them to finish their career on.
Absolutely. The one thing I respect college basketball for doing, the portal used to open like yesterday, like is in that Monday after Selection Sunday. So what I think it screwed was, okay, all the teams who are in the tournament, what are their coaches doing right now? Let's just use some local guys. Like what's Jake Diebler at Ohio State or John Gross at Akron or even Travis Steele down in Miami. They are up 20 out of 24 hours a day watching film, getting ready for their game right now. How are they supposed to participate in the portal? I thought that gave a distinct advantage to those teams who aren't doing anything. Now I guess my thing is that I understand is with the portals, and this goes for the same as football. Okay, if you get invited to the NIT and you say no, the portal doesn't open for until after the championship game. It doesn't open until 2 days after now, which I like. I think it's very good. It's respectable.
Yep.
But however, it doesn't mean that if you're not in the tournament, you can't start getting ready to open that checkbook and writing checks for whoever you see that you want. Like, so I get that from the coaching point of view. And I think the same goes for football. We're at a place now where I understand it, and you did call me out for it, and I respect it because I think now, like, understanding from football's point of view too, like, yeah, just because the portals are opening later doesn't mean that you can't get ready to watch these games and scout them for who the hell am I getting ready to write a check for next year. And in the Irish's case, who's going to wear a golden helmet?
The blue and gold.
Or in Indiana's
sometimes
case,
green.
who's wearing the big IU on their jersey next year.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's just go through real quick because we got to wrap this up here. We don't have time to pick a whole bracket, obviously, but go ahead. I'll give my final four, and then I'll let you give your final four. And then the listeners, if you'd like, you can comment who your Final Four is. We'd be curious to see. Out of the East region, I am going to go ahead and take, believe it or not, I don't like Duke's health situation without Patrick Ngumba at center and without Caleb Foster at point guard. I just said I thought they got screwed seed-wise. They showed me a lot, and they have Rick Pitino running the show. Out of the East region, give me St. John's as the 5 seed to get to the Final Four.
Okay.
I'm going to go on the lower left-hand quadrant. I am going to take the Houston Cougars, the 2 seed. I think they got to the championship game last year against Florida. I think they're going to end up playing Florida in the Elite Eight and beating them and get revenge for that championship game last year. I'm going to take you over, Kevin, to the upper right-hand quadrant. I think Arizona is the most complete team in the country. Give me Arizona.
Okay.
And finally, on the lower right-hand side of the quadrant, you said you like Tennessee State to beat them. I love Nolan Smith when he played at Duke. I think he was a great player. Actually, an okay NBA backup point guard for a while, too. I couldn't disagree with you more. I think Iowa State's one of the most complete teams in the country. They have great guard play, great big man play. I like Iowa State.
It wasn't a prediction that Tennessee State would win. It was if there was a 15 seed, I might lean. I don't like the 15 seeds this year. I don't like Queens. I don't like Idaho. I don't like Furman. If there was one, I might go Tennessee.
Well, see,
State.
I'll be honest. If I was to pick a 15 seed, and not to get you on a tangent before you give your Final Four, or get me a tangent before you give your Final Four here, I like Furman. Hey, they beat Virginia a couple years ago.
They did.
Those low-level dogs, there is something to be said when they've been there before, because like those wins stick in those universities for lifetimes, passed down generations.
For sure. Absolutely.
But I don't like any 15 point being said.
For my Final Four, and this is just quick, I haven't gone through the bracket yet. This could change once I actually pick game for game, but just on the outside looking in at the bracket, I like Sparty in the East.
Okay.
The Michigan State Spartans.
The 3 seed.
The 3 seed Sparty in the East. Moving to the South, I do like North Carolina, but I don't like them to make it out of that region. I'm actually going to go Houston in that one, the 2 seed Houston.
You're going to agree with me? How about this upset special first round? Virginia Commonwealth will beat North Carolina. Mark that one down, folks. I like that one.
Okay, all right. Okay. And then, sorry, I'm just going through here. Yeah, Houston there. And then in the West, let's see.
Like Arizona? It's hard
That's the easy pick, and I don't want to pick them, but I haven't picked a 1 yet, and I'm not going to pick a 1 in the Midwest, so I have to pick Arizona in the West. Yeah. So I'm going Zona in the West to make it out. I always have to have at least 1 seed in the Final Four.
Sure,
at least a 1 seed. And then going down to the Midwest, I'm going to go Virginia. 3 seed Virginia Cavaliers.
All right. Okay, yeah, comment your Final Fours. Obviously, we'll be watching all the madness. It really starts tonight. It's going on right now. You got the play-ins with NC State and Texas. And then UMBC. Why do they sound familiar? They were the first 16 to ever beat a 1. Yep. Fun fact of your day for you here on Cleveland Sports.
And that happened, that would have been 2018 March Madness.
Yes.
Because I remember you and I were roommates. That was junior. We were watching the game together in our dorm room.
We were at Eastland Inn. Oh, I don't know why I just said that. We were. We
were on an establishment on Eastland Road.
Yeah. Sorry. I should have. Yeah.
No, that was man, the deals there back in the day.
Yeah, they were
$5 pitcher, $5 wings. Unbelievable. $10 on a Monday. Couldn't beat it.
Excellent.
12 with tip.
That's right. Go ahead and let us know. We'll be watching all the March Madness this weekend. We'll be trying to get out of here so we can go home and watch a little bit of the United States game. And then, obviously, we got the Cavs, and then we got the Guardians special next week. So there's a lot going on in sports. Quiet time for football, but if anything happens, we'll obviously keep our eyes and ears open. But thanks for joining us tonight, and make sure to follow us on social media, Kevin.
Yeah, social media at CLE Sports Realm. That's on X or Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And you can also listen to us or watch us on Spotify and YouTube, and then listen to us on Apple Podcasts as well.
All right, everybody, enjoy March Madness. Enjoy all the sports, and we'll talk to everybody next week. Thanks for joining us tonight, and go Team USA, huh?
Yeah, go Cavs as well.
All right, have a great night. Good night.